Ownership of a $10 million home is about visibility. It is a trophy meant to be seen from the street. But ownership of a $100 million estate is about the opposite. It is about the sophisticated engineering of disappearance. For the 0.001%, the greatest luxury is no longer a gold-plated interior or a 20-car garage. Those are commodities. The only asset that cannot be mass-produced, and the only one currently in critical shortage, is absolute, impenetrable privacy. By the end of this analysis, you will understand the specific spatial strategies used by the ultra-elite to exit public society while remaining in the heart of its most crowded cities. You will see how architecture is being weaponized, not to showcase wealth, but to camouflage power. In the world of extreme wealth, there is a distinct transition from high security to total insulation. Most luxury buyers settle for armored doors and smart cameras. The Maverick, however, builds what architects call a hard perimeter. This is not a fence, it is a psychological barrier. In cities like London, New York, or Hong Kong, land is the ultimate constraint. You cannot build a forest around a penthouse. Instead, the architecture of isolation turns inward. We're seeing the rise of the Iceberg Home. In Kensington, billionaires are digging 5 stories into the earth. They're constructing subterranean worlds, private cinemas, spas, and car galleries that exist entirely outside the reach of satellite imagery or street-level drones. The street sees a modest historic facade. The reality is a 20,000-square-foot sanctuary buried beneath the limestone. This is stealth wealth manifested in concrete. It is the rejection of the McMansion philosophy. If the public knows how much space you occupy, you have already lost the game of exclusivity. Privacy is no longer just a horizontal concern, it is vertical. The ultra-rich are now purchasing air rights, not to build, but to ensure no one else can. They are buying the empty space above and around their properties to prevent a neighbor from ever having a line of sight into their courtyard. In Los Angeles, the most elite developers are now selling drone-shielded estates. These properties utilize proprietary signal jamming mesh integrated into the landscaping to disrupt unauthorized aerial photography. You are not just buying a house, you are buying a no-fly zone. The acquisition of these spaces does not happen on the open market. You cannot find the world's most private residences on a public listing or even a high-end brokerage site. In this tier of real estate, the power dynamic is inverted. The seller does not look for a buyer. The seller selects a peer. To even view a property in the isolation category, a prospect must often undergo a liquidity audit and a reputation scan that can take months. The goal is not just to sell a house, it is to protect the collective privacy of the neighbors. If one leak occurs, the value of the entire enclave evaporates. The most vulnerable moment for any high-profile individual is the transition from the vehicle to the front door. To solve this, the modern fortress utilizes the blind entry, a subterranean tunnel system that begins several blocks away from the actual residence. These are not damp corridors. They are climate-controlled, art-filled galleries designed to accommodate armored SUVs. The resident enters a nondescript commercial garage in a public part of the city, and minutes later they are inside their living room without ever having stepped onto a sidewalk. Visibility is zero. The trail ends before it even begins. From a traditional investment standpoint, building a 50,000-square-foot deep subterranean bunker is a catastrophic use of capital. The cost per square foot for deep excavation is triple that of above-ground construction. However, the Maverick views this not as real estate, but as an insurance policy. In a world of increasing social volatility and digital surveillance, untraceable acreage is the ultimate hedge. These assets are often held in complex, multi-layered trusts, making it legally impossible to tie the physical structure to a specific name. The cost is high, but the ROI is measured in the one thing money usually cannot buy: the freedom to exist without being watched. We must ask, what is the ultimate cost of this total disappearance? When a human being is shielded from the friction of the outside world, from the noise, the crowds, and the spontaneous interactions of the city, their psychology begins to shift. The architecture of isolation creates a feedback loop of one. By removing all external intrusion, the resident achieves a state of social zero. This is not peace. It is the absolute curation of reality. In these bunkers, wealth is no longer used to buy things. It is used to buy a world where the other does not exist. The elite are not just living in different neighborhoods, they are moving into a different version of the human experience, one where they are the only inhabitants. As the divide between the visible and the invisible grows, we are witnessing a permanent splintering of our species. We are moving toward a future where the ultra-wealthy are no longer part of the public fabric. They are becoming ghosts in their own machines, untouchable, unseen, and entirely disconnected from the society that generated their fortunes. The fortress is finished. The gates are sealed. But as the world outside continues to watch the walls, one question remains. In a world designed to keep everyone else out, who is actually the prisoner?